picture books. Where did you get that idea?
Well, I was visiting the nursing home where my mother lives over the past year or so, and have gotten to know a lot of the people that live there. And one evening I had gone in with the intent of reading my mother a bedtime story. A friend of mine had just given me a storybook, a picture book, a children's book, and I thought she might enjoy it. So my intent was to go in and climb into bed with her and read her a story, and when I got there, she was already sleeping. But when I rounded the corner, there were a group of people sitting, just sitting and hanging out, and I went over and asked them if they would mind if I read this story to them, and everyone seemed okay with that. And so I began reading the story to the group, going up and down the line, and I was pretty astounded with the level of attention and engagement that was going on. People that otherwise I might not have connected with in the past suddenly were looking up at me and asking questions about the story, and were clearly very interested. And it was thrilling. It was through the process of having the story read to them, you see sparks. You see people really lighting up. There's this one example that I think is absolutely fabulous. The first passes I go through with the book, the woman is mildly curious. And the second time around, she's much more interested, and she takes the book and actually asks me a question about the picture, which was very surprising to me because I haven't heard much verbiage from this resident before. So that to me that just kind of blew my mind. Well, the third time around, there were two women next to her holding the book, looking at the pictures, and suddenly her hand comes in and is grabbing and saying, "Give me the book." That's just incredible. He's a very sweet gentleman, and will always nod to you and smile. I started reading him the story, and suddenly he interrupted me, and we locked eyes, and he recited from beginning to end a Walt Kelly poem that he pulled out from probably 40 years ago. It was so thrilling to see his joy. He was on fire. So thrilling to me. I laughed. I leave there with such happiness and such joy after experiencing something like this. You can't have an effect like that. You can't see a result like that and not be touched, not be moved, not want to do it over and over and over again. I left just feeling euphoric. I was so excited and thought, wow, this was just not what I had expected at all. How can we address this in the larger elderly community? So I was sharing the story with people, and I had mentioned it to my daughter, who's a writer, and she got very excited and said, imagine we're reading a story, a picture story that had content that was pertinent to that age group. What did she see, as from a writer's perspective? What might some of those differences be? So she was able to highlight some of those, and I asked her if she would write me a story, and that's Lavender Ladies was born. She wrote Lavender Ladies based on what she felt would be pertinent content.
How is this important to family members of the elderly?
Well, I see this as being important because the book can be a bridge for connection, for communication. This can be a very difficult time for families as their family members get older, they start changing, there's memory loss, there's a different type of brain development that goes on. They don't seem to be the same people to the family members that the family members remember. So it becomes easy to somewhat dismiss it, I think. There's fear around how family members are feeling, fear of their own mortality, fear of losing these people in this, this is really the last stage of their life. I mean, we don't know how long it'll go on, but it's this is the last stage of the life, and it can be really unsettling. So the book is such a wonder because what it does is forms a barrier, that I think some people really need when they're dealing with their elderly relatives. And it's physically a barrier as well as a metaphorical barrier, yet it's also a bridge. It's a bridge to that connection. suddenly you've got this story in common, and you can discuss the elements of the story or have a laugh together or whatever. And it's an activity that doesn't take a lot of time, yet the results are profound. So I imagine that people will be very excited to have this as a vehicle of connecting a little bit more deeply. There's an awful lot of regret that goes on with family members. After a family member passes, oftentimes you'll hear, I wished I'd have spent more time with them, or I wish I had been kinder, or I wish I had known what to do. And then let's do that. Let's let this happen before the person passes, so that you don't have to feel that kind of regret or heaviness after someone goes, and you can maybe celebrate their passing and help them move to that next level.